Welcome back. China is now threatening to retaliate against President Trump and the U.S. after the president announced a 25% tariff on any country doing business with Iran. China has been the top buyer of Iranian oil for years, buying at least 90% of Iran's oil exports, roughly worth $2 billion a month. Beijing claims its annual trade surplus hit a record $1.2 trillion last year. Despite ongoing U.S. tariffs, China's exports were up more than 5%. Imports were flat for the year, according to the CCP. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, great to see you. Your thoughts on the president's tariff on countries doing business with Iran? Obviously, China is front and center there, and now it claims it's going to retaliate.
What President Trump is doing with the 25% tariff is absolutely necessary. We have an Iranian regime that is killing protesters. We don't know how many, but it's now in the thousands, probably 10, 12,000. So something had to be done. And clearly the Chinese were violating sanctions by buying Iranian oil in great quantities, 80% last year, 90% the year before. So this is important. It's a demonstration of political will. And it's a test that President Trump is going to have to actually pass, because a lot of people are saying that he is going to flop on this. I don't think so. I think President Trump feels that this is important, and he's going to do what he does, and that is exert American power for the good of not only the United States, but the rest of the world as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because this entire uprising by Iranian citizens on the streets of Iran is also clarifying and crystallizing the relationship that Iran has had with China. And it's clear that these two are in step, aligned, even as Iran is a bad actor on the global stage, by the way, as is China.
Iran could not have attacked Israel on October 7th through its three terrorist proxies without China's support, because it was not only the financial support, it was diplomatic support, propaganda support, and weapons support. You know, all three of Iran's main terrorist proxies have large quantities of Chinese weapons, which were delivered either through Iran and in some cases directly. So we've got to say that when Iran does something, we have to talk about China.
Yeah, it's a very good point that you make on the Chinese weapons. That's very important to recognize there. Meanwhile, China is ramping up its fight in the AI race as well, reportedly drafting these new purchase rules for advanced AI chips, including the NVIDIA H200 chip. We know that the president has allowed NVIDIA to sell that H200 chip to China. But on top of that, the president is now imposing a 25% tariff on certain AI chips that are foreign made. They're made in Taiwan, and he's tightening the oversight of the NVIDIA chip sales to China. Beijing is making moves to cut itself off from other country technology, warning its companies not to use the cybersecurity software from the U.S. and Israel. Isn't this ironic, Gordon? The Business Standard is writing, quote, Chinese authorities expressed concern that the software could collect and transmit confidential information abroad. Chinese analysts have said Beijing is becoming increasingly concerned that any Western equipment could be hacked by foreign powers. Well, China would know about that, wouldn't it, Gordon?
Well, it certainly would, because China's been using its equipment that we have purchased to hack us.
Right.
You know, the important here is that, you know, China is trying to eliminate American equipment, software, and chips. And really what it wants is our chips to sort of bridge a gap until they can develop local chips that are as good or better than ours. So I don't see why we're helping them. You know, the interesting thing here is that China is telling everybody but research institutes that they can't buy and import the H200 chip of NVIDIA. You know, this is Xi Jinping's pressure tactic on us. He wants to get the Blackwell chips now. He thinks he can push President Trump around. I don't think that he can. But this is, as I mentioned, a test of wills. And it's going to be really important because chips are going to determine who controls AI. And the best chips in the world are Americans, and the Chinese cannot compete with us unless we sell them those chips. So why are we doing that?
Well, I mean, look, NVIDIA obviously pushed for it. The president did allow it. It's not the most advanced chip, but I'm trying to understand what game Beijing is playing by telling its firms not to use U.S. technology now. Is it really all about this worry over surveillance?
No, I just think that it's a pressure tactic on the American president, that they think, that they can work on Jensen Huang. When we approved the H-20, China didn't buy it. So what happened? We approved the H-200, which is 6 times more powerful than the H-20. That's a real win for China. And now they think they can do the same thing with the H-200, say don't buy it unless you're a research institute. Because they think they can get the Blackwell, which is the most advanced NVIDIA chip, or the most advanced AMD chip for that matter. So this is just a question of how far they can push President Trump. On trade, they pushed him around a lot. And I think Trump has gotten a little bit upset about that and is now hitting back. And that's great for us.
Gordon, Japan launching the world's first deep-sea mission aimed at unlocking rare earth elements for goods like defense systems and autos and tech. This is an effort to reduce Tokyo's reliance on China as the U.S. and G7 allies do the same. We saw what China was doing to Japan, trying to stop the flow of rare earth minerals. What's your take on Japan's response here?
This is a great thing. We're starting to think about innovative ways around China's export bans on rare earths. It'll take the world and the United States about 2 years to figure out how to do this, but we will get there. And then China will have only one more card to play, which are pharmaceuticals. And Senator Rick Scott is working on that one as well.
All right. Well, we'll be watching that then. Gordon, great to catch up. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria.
All right, Gordon Chang. Stay with us. We'll be right back.